Welcome to Linux Saloon, a place to discuss tech, open source, and where Linux is always on tap. Each show will have a talk about Linux projects such as a distribution, desktop environment, application. We also chat about the news or any variety of topics from the community, anything that's Linux tech and open source related is on the table for discussion. I'm Nate, a Linux fitness and vintage tech enthusiast with an almost unhealthy obsession with the openSUSE project. And with me today, I've got a trim but fabulous group of people. I've got HipDad, Eris, got Auto Drop 3D, Ben, and Mike Chilson. How is everybody today?
Doing great.
Fantastic.
For this episode.
All right. Woo! Okay. So just real quick, it's gonna be we're starting a bit early, and we have to end a little bit early as well because I got a scheduling conflict tonight, so I have to be back at the robotics. My oldest is in a robotics team, and they're doing the competition today. The kids, the hip kids, like HipDad, he would know this. They say comp instead of competition. Oh, someone else snuck in. Oh, we got an Adam. Adam snuck in. So good to have you. So we're gonna end it about. It's gonna be like an hour and a half show tonight. So about 8 o'clock. I'm right. Sorry. 9 o'clock, we gotta go. So anyway, just sorry for that, but that's just, that's the way it goes. So also be sure to, if you have not done so already, you can smash that like button or like that smash button. What is it called? I don't know. But better yet, yeah, whichever. You can join the chat here on Discord. I got this like a little event thing that we're doing now that hopefully makes it a little bit easier for people to be a part of the conversation. And love to have you because that's what makes this whole thing kind of fun. Also, you can join our Discord or Telegram groups. So they're most of the time pretty happy and nice to work with. Sometimes, you get some a little bit out there, but that happens with any group of people. And also be sure to do that straw poll. cubicalnate.com/polls. Polls go up throughout the week. This one, the one in there right now is, how was your experience with StormOS? We'll get to that in a little bit. So leave a little time there for you to knock that out. And on the docket for today, we are doing a distribution exploration. Probably won't have any time for news or community free pour, but we will start off with a straw poll. But first, what have you been doing in Linux and tech? I just wanted to share a fun little tidbit of something I've been sort of playing with. So I got myself a new, but by new, I don't mean actually new, because I don't get new things unless it's the framework, but a new piece of hardware. So I don't know if you can see that, and it's backwards for everybody, but I did get myself a Mac. And
your machine.
Yeah, so it's an Macbook Air. It's a little bit of an older one, and used it for a little while with Mac OS, and then it didn't go real well for me, and I think I may have to try it again. So I installed openSUSE Tumbleweed, and it's been great. And I think that's actually what it boils down to here. I really like this. Is actually a nice piece of hardware. The keyboard's pretty good. It's probably not the best keyboard I've used. I think the framework's a little bit better, but it's not the latest and greatest Mac. It's an Intel one yet, so it's not really fully supported by Apple anymore. I don't know. And it actually runs really nice. Here's what I think is very interesting. It doesn't have a very big battery in it, but the battery lasts a really long time. So I don't know if anyone here who's done anything with like Macs, like put Linux on Macs. Have you found the battery performance pretty good after that, or did it take a dump? Because I didn't use it long enough to really get a good feel on the Mac OS side, but on Linux side, this lasts many hours.
It was like half or less.
Half or less?
Between like 30 to 50% of the actual battery life, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'm getting about. Now it's older. It's got an older battery. I think. Let me actually see how the age of the battery is. But so you said 30 to 50% drop.
The Intel Macs?
It's an Intel Mac, yeah.
What year?
I don't know. It says MacBook Air on there. How am I supposed to know what year it is?
Can you change the battery? I think you can't change the battery, right?
Oh, I'm sure you can. There's screws on the bottom. I think this panel will come out. I'm pretty sure. I haven't taken it apart yet.
Battery's probably taped in.
So
I don't know if the batteries are user serviceable on those.
Nothing is. but the battery health is 90%, and I got about 5 hours left of time. So you'd say I'd probably have about 10 hours otherwise, Adam?
I think you'd be very surprised the moment you start actually using it, how quickly it drains.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it lasted longer. It's not fully charged right now, but I used it pretty much all. I was not to get into like personal things, but I'd been not for me. I was not for me, but I was in the hospital much of this week, so I spent all day pretty much playing with it and installing stuff, and actually just even working on it. I got like work stuff installed in here just to see how it goes, because I have a coworker that really dislikes Apple. He's a big Windows guy, prefers Windows, likes the framework with Windows 11 on it, and so I want to go in there not this week but next week, into the office and just have him see this just to see his head spin. I think that'll be fun. So anyway, that's actually why I'm doing it for the lulls.
You know, we have a name for people like you in the South. It's called Rebel Rouser.
Yes. So Dave from Dave's Vintage Apple Tech, he says, yes, you can replace the battery. So there we go. I think the battery health it's still 90% health, so it's probably fine. And then 01 says that the MacBook Neo is surprisingly repairable. And so I'd be interested in knowing. I've heard like little rumblings about it, but is it like totally repairable? Like you put new SSDs and memory in it too? Or do we not know on that? I don't know anything about it. But anyway.
I haven't heard that much about it myself, truth be told. I've seen videos of it. It looks pretty neat, but I'm not sure.
So I also do like it because the Apple logo glows. I know they don't do that on the newer ones, but I think that might be my favorite feature. So
the glowing apple. The
yeah,
end of an era now.
Kind of fun. I think we get some like get like a green gel, like they use on lights, and make it a green apple, because green apples are my favorite. Actually, no, Honeycrisp. Those are actually my favorite. But anyway,
I mean, you could just like get some like saran wrap, some green saran wrap, put it over.
Yeah, that's basically what a gel is. You know, like for lights, the can lights, like stage stuff. You want to do any of that?
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah, that stuff. I think that might be fun.
Jinda.
Yeah. Welcome, Jinda. So anyway, I just want to say it's actually quite nice. One thing I do really like, I have to say, if I were to say like features, having a built-in SD card reader, that's actually kind of nice to have, and that the magnetic power connection thing, I really got to say that's actually a really neat feature. Any way you slice it, that's a neat feature. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, so good times. Now, have you ever seen Action Retro, the YouTube channel?
Yep.
So he did some like older MacBooks, put Linux on them. He was able to get a lot more performance out of it. Do you think that's part of the reason you get for the drop in power, Adam? Like it's extracting more.
In the past, there was a lot of power management issues. Yeah, I don't know if it's still the case, but I haven't bothered to. I haven't used an Intel Mac in like a long time.
Oh, okay.
So couldn't tell you. But yeah, back when I had a 2014 MacBook Air, and the battery life was like 13 hours on Mac OS and like 4 on Linux. Yeah, it was kind of booty. So Mac OS went right back on it. Not to mention various issues with Bluetooth, the trackpad experience on Linux being crap, just a lot of stuff. It just was not a good fit for the hardware.
Okay. Now, I have to say, because I've used the Bluetooth on this, the trackpad and everything, and using Wayland, so the gestures work great. So maybe things are better now. I don't know. But
that was a long time ago for me. Yeah. So,
but the hardware support, as far as I can tell, like the webcam works. I had to install like another firmware package for it to work. Audio worked out of the gate, no problems there.
The webcam on those are PCI Express cams. Like they're actually connected to the PCI Express bus.
They are, yep. So I thought it was kind of interesting. But anyway, so it was a really, I thought it was a really great. It's been a really good experience as a piece of hardware running Linux so far. But maybe my standards are much lower than yours, Adam. That could be. Let's go with that.
I'd say it's the 10 plus years of time between the time that I tried it and the time you did
Oh,
has probably more to do with it than anything.
yeah, maybe. But it's in
Also,
really
those
nice shape.
machines aren't supported by Apple anymore, so
Right.
at this point,
Isn't
you
it?
don't really have much of a choice but to put Linux on it.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a really nice it's really nice fit and finish, I would say. And even though this has got some miles on it, like it's still, I'm surprised the lack of dings and I mean some scratches here and there as you'd expect for a machine that's probably been shoved in a book, but it must be a fairly stout design as far as what it can handle.
I still have mine in the closet. In 2014, it's in my closet, waiting for the battery to swell up and start a fire.
It may never do that.
Yeah, we'll see.
Ooh, that would not be fun.
That could be a great Linux Saloon special. The swollen battery on Adam Grubb's MacBook.
Yeah, my spicy pillow adventures.
Yeah, look out the spicy. It'll be a community free pour. The spicy pillow hour, or
Yeah.
the spicy pillow
Hey,
corner.
hey,
Yes.
that MacBook I sent you, it had that
Yes.
problem too. It
spicy
blew
pillow?
the thing off. I had to get a new battery for it.
Yeah, I noticed it does have a new battery in there, and that one lasts about 3 hours, I would say, running openSUSE. Actually, right now it's running MX Linux.
Seems to be recurring issues with those old MacBooks.
I think any laptops. We actually had one of the frameworks I deployed 3 years ago. Just one of them got a spicy pillow, but I know that the guy who has it, he always leaves it plugged in, and I didn't set the battery saver thing. It was before the BIOS update with the battery saver stuff, so I need to get that addressed. But he's got his pillow's not spicy anymore. He's got a new pillow, so it's something I make sure now that I don't let them charge 100% because they're largely docked. So
That's neat. I haven't used an Intel Mac in a while, so it's kind of cool to see one again.
Yeah, I like it. I think my son asked me, he's like, "What are you doing with that?" I'm like, I'm installing. He's like, "I'm installing Linux." He goes, "Tumbleweed?" I'm like, "Yeah," and he rolls his eyes. I'm like, "Come on, dude. I know you're in the Fedora camp now, but I like my openSUSE. All right."
Predictable dad.
Yeah, Dad, you're so boring.
Yep.
So, it's interesting. So 01 says, so how is the Mac support from openSUSE? Any hardware that required tricks to work? There was one trick. Well, a couple actually. The Broadcom drivers and the drivers for the webcam. So I will eventually be publishing an article on this on keepinglate.com just because I did it and may as well. But no, actually everything was pretty easy to do. No problems there. And then the SBGX says refurbished ThinkPads still win due to the included ports. Yes. Now I'm curious though, because I know people who love their ThinkPads. I get it. Totally understand. They're good machines. What would you say are the what is it that you specifically like about the ThinkPad? Because I think for everyone it's a little bit different. They like the track point. Some people really like that. Some people like, I don't know, any number of things, but just kind of curious.
I was a fan of the ThinkPad until I got my hands on an EliteBook, and that changed my mind on that one.
The HP EliteBook?
Yeah. Definitely prefer those.
What specifically would you say you prefer about the EliteBook?
I think the keyboard's better.
Oh, okay.
I know that's a hot take. That's one big thing. They just seem to behave better for me. Like docking and undocking, that kind of stuff works better. Like I've used various ThinkPad docks, the ones you like latch into place and all that. You know, hit or miss on those. Especially if you're running Linux on the box, like you get instances where it just freezes up for no reason and stuff like that, at least in my experience. And I'm sure someone would be like, works on my machine, but that's not my point.
Were those USB?
I've just had no
USB-C
issues
docks?
at all.
I'm sorry.
It could be USB-C or the little port replicator thing on the bottom. Like those, just had issues with those over time. But all the ones on the EliteBooks that I've used, never any issues. So
it's interesting. It's interesting you say this because at work I've been having trouble with certain USB-C docks. Like there's not really a like I had a Lenovo dock that I was using at my desk, and I would have like one of my screens just kind of blank out every once in a while, then come back, and another one would just kind of blank out and come back, and people like I've had people say, yeah, my screens blank out periodically, so I'll do like a firmware update on it, and then it's fine for a while. But I will say the dock that I've had the least issues with have been USB-C dock has been this Ugreen dock that I'm running. It's like it has downstream Thunderbolt ports and everything. And that one's not, I've never had any issues with that, so I replaced my not work with that. It was cheaper anyway than Lenovo dock, but it seems to run better. But I wonder if the docks are kind of hit and miss too. Does anybody have any experience with the USB-C docks? Like sometimes are great, sometimes are poo?
Outside an Apple one, no. But the Apple one I had pretty decent time with. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, an older ThinkPad I used to have, this was probably, I don't know, 6 or 8 years ago. I had to dock with it, and it was, sometimes I would have to reconnect it several times before it kind of recognized it.
So do you have to like disconnect and reconnect it, or what would you do? That sort of thing, or would you just?
Yeah, I just disconnect and reconnect it, and it would. But I've got a X1 Carbon now. I don't have a dock. It's solid. I think ThinkPad X1. Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. And I see Eric joined. Welcome. Oh, and we have Vince. Vince has joined. Man, it's like a full house. Just no Sarah Michelle.
Hey there, my mate.
Yeah. How are things there in on the underside of the world? Still holding up the rest of us?
It's a little wet today.
Oh, okay. It's been nice today here in Michigan. Unpure Michigan, as Chris would say in chat. Well, good deal.
Hey, Nate.
Yes.
You used to be a big fan of HP, right?
I was never like a big fan. I mean, I love Dell and I love HP. Kind of like them all. But repairability on my EliteBook that I have is a little bit, was actually why I got the framework.
What is the difference between the ProBooks and the EliteBooks? Are they comparable, or are they completely separate lines? Like they're not
different
close
lines.
to each other.
ProBooks are lower end machines. I think like a ProBook is like the affordable business thing, and the EliteBook is more in line with like a TPad T series. Like I think like T series. So EliteBook is more like a T series, and ProBook is more along the line like an E series or L series.
Okay.
Lower end ThinkPad.
This is my EliteBook that I have. It's the 14-inch. So my keyboard is flaking out on it. I got a new keyboard. I just haven't replaced it yet. But I do like the trackpad on here. That's nice. Trackpoint. And the trackpad's nice too. So, but this one has served me well while it could serve me. So, it's good times. Good times, great oldies. All right.
Hey, real quick.
Yeah.
But before we move on to something else, I just wanted to bring something up. I mentioned it in the after show, but I wanted to bring it out to everybody else and get their opinion on it. I've got a Mac Mini that I'm working on a client project with, and one thing that I really, really like about it is their unified memory model. Is everyone familiar with that or ever heard of it? Basically, the idea is you have a fixed amount of RAM on the machines. Let's say 128 gig. Okay. Well, you just have a little slider bar that you can slide the RAM allocation between the GPU and the CPU. Either way. And I just thought that was such a neat feature that why don't we have that on every computer?
So I think with the AMD and their APUs, they have something similar to that, if I remember correctly. And I think even now, Adam, I think you probably know more about this than I do, for sure, without a doubt. But I was pretty confident, like with the I know on this EliteBook here, I could do that in the BIOS. I could move over how much memories allocated to the GPU, the integrated GPU.
Yeah, but you're limited to how much you could use, right?
Yes.
So the difference here is so you're using like system memory for GPU memory when you have like integrated GPUs, right? So Intel, AMD, etc. Depending on the configuration of the machine, you're limited to how much RAM you can allocate to VRAM, right? And the memory that you're using is largely, with the exception of some newer systems, going to be much slower, right? Because it's just typical system RAM, and VRAM is usually significantly faster than standard system RAM. But what's amazing about the Apple Silicon stuff is because the memory is on package with everything else, like it's not a separate chip, they actually have this unified memory that runs at a ridiculously high bandwidth. And the unified memory acts as both system and VRAM dynamically. And so if you have, say, 64 gig of unified memory, it can be 64 gig of system memory or VRAM or some mixture of the between, right? And so it's always the same speed, it's always quick. And that's kind of why Apple Silicon feels differently in graphics applications than using like an integrated GPU on a PC does, mainly for that same reason.
Isn't that how the Framework desktop works though as well? I think 01 even pointed that out. The
I have
Framework
like the
desktop is
Strix
the same.
Halo thing or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a similar idea, yeah, having a unified memory pool. Although I'm not sure if Strix Halo, I don't know, there's some weird stuff with that as to how they do their VRAM and RAM allocation. It's not quite 1-to-1 with Apple, but it's the same idea, yeah. The
Okay.
sort of
Isn't this
RAM
the
on
reason why?
package thing.
Isn't this the reason why these APUs are popular for AI workloads? Like because of
Yes.
the
Yes.
Yeah, because getting a GPU with that much VRAM is pretty expensive, but having that much VRAM to fit a bigger model in, is much more achievable when you have unified memory like that. Of course, token rates being what they are, but if you can at least fit the model in there.
Gotcha.
And handhelds are
Is that
similar
Warcraft?
to what you're used to. The handheld PCs are similar to what you're used to, Nate, where you can allocate a certain amount of memory, and their BIOSes include like much larger amounts for obviously to accommodate video games, right?
Right.
But a lot of them are going to be running faster memory than typical machines would. So we're talking like 7,500 megatransfers or 8,000 megatransfer memory modules rather than the typical like 4,800, which is like the JE deck or whatever speeds. So like, you're going to have higher frequency memory on the handhelds and specific hardware, right? But even those don't come anywhere near like Apple's like bandwidth numbers. Their memory bandwidth numbers are silly, like hundreds of gigabytes a second memory bandwidth.
I think the official terminology for Apple is 4x. Sorry, I had to put that in.
But yeah, like to give you like comparison, so an Apple Silicon like Max processor, so like say a M4 or M5 Max, you're gonna be looking at like 400 plus gigabytes per second in memory bandwidth, which is a lot. But then if you look at the equivalent like DDR5, like typical memory, you're a couple hundred gigabytes per second at most, if that. And so it's significantly higher memory bandwidth with the unified pool. That's the main advantage. When you compare that to like my 4090 in my other machine has 24 gig of RAM, much smaller, but
The other door is
memory
open,
bandwidth is
dickhead.
memory bandwidth is like a terabyte a second on that thing. So
You're muted, Nate.
I'm sorry. How fast is your 4090 or whatever?
memory bandwidth, it's about just about a terabyte a second.
And what is the Mac?
It's about 500 gigabyte a second, about half that.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right. Huh. Well,
Yeah, I think it's also interesting how they list their processors and GPUs as obviously the CPU has cores, but their GPUs have cores also.
Yeah, most GPUs actually do have cores, and then on the core themselves, they'll have like whether it be stream processors or stream units or whatever they want to call them, but they put them in blocks that they usually refer to as like compute units is what AMD calls them, or I think streaming modules or something like that. That the SMs I think is what NVIDIA calls them. But they're basically like cores, and then within there's a bunch of smaller processors that do all the parallel processing. So when they say like 40 core GPU, they're talking like 40 compute units of GPU on the die.
I'm impressed with the little box. It's pretty amazing. But I just thought that was an interesting way to look at how the memory is handled on a PC, and it'd be neat if we could get that in other types of machines.
Maybe I just don't get it, but I'm pretty happy with the performance of my framework with the Core Ultra 7, whatever. It's been pretty great. So.
Well, the big difference is as your workload changes, you can change the memory configuration.
Oh yeah, no, it's very interesting. That whole architecture I think is very interesting, and yeah. I like that they're doing it. It's pretty neat. Well, thanks for bringing that up, Mike. I added that as a timestamp here, so you can go back to that later. All right, I guess we can go ahead and move on to the straw polls, or Act 2, as it is in my show notes. So the straw poll was, which best describes your experience with StormOS? So still a few moments here. You can get in your vote before we're out of contest mode, I suppose. And so how'd it work out there, Eris?
I could go with replies. I got 2 replies. One of them says other, not interest in the chaos of Arch Linux, LOL.
Understandable.
And then somebody else said, I think Ben and others have done a great job getting this distro to this point. Other than some minor GUI and base config issues, I think this is a good distro. My only suggestion would be a review the target about who this distro is for. It says it's for intermediate and advanced users, but those users tend to already have a favorite distro. Creating a harder hill for StormOS to climb to attract users. I see StormOS as more of a second distro or third distro, and as such it should be included productivity apps. Most distros in that position include such as LibreOffice and Chromium, for example. If you want people to use your distro on a regular basis, you have to give them a reason to. Finding their own way, in my honest opinion, is not what most users want. Only hobbies enthusiasts want this, which is very small population of computer users around the world that want that model. Just my thoughts and opinions. This may not fit yours overall, though. I give it a thumbs up.
That's a nice little review.
And as far as the results, fresh one last time. And number one answer for which best describes your experience with StormOS is 39% did not have a good time with it. 22% didn't have enough time, busy with work, busy with life. 13% not interested in this exploration. 9% it is good. 4% it is amazing. 4% it is okay. 4% it not interested in doing the explorations in general. 4% other. And Tux Penguin didn't get any votes.
Poor Tux being neglected again. Is it like 2 weeks in a row Tux Penguin didn't get any votes? Or is it maybe 3? It wasn't last week. Well, now I have to look. Actually, I can. I'll have to just scroll down.
Huh.
Oh no, TextPing we got votes a couple weeks ago. Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to the talk about StormOS. Now this is we have some rules on the exploration. So the intent is to talk about the different aspects of the operating system, or discuss our experience from using it. The discussion should be objective and constructive. So non-objective opinions like "this is garbage" is not helpful. But rather, if you say, "I wish it had a specific feature," or "I really need features that allow me to, do a thing," then you're benefiting the conversation. The point is to highlight the positives, but not necessarily ignore the lowlights of the project. Because remember, this is a labor of love for some, specifically Ben. So let's not poo-poo on it. So Ben, I thought we'd let you do a little bit of the background on it. So tell us a little bit about StormOS. So specifically, when did you start it? Like what year and why?
Okay. Well, the reason it started in August of 2018, to be exact, was my buddy Matthew Moore, who's been on the show a couple of times. He and I were originally working on a project for him called Manjaro by MM, and we decided that, because when they changed from GFX boot to Grub 2, I'm sure Eric remembers that. Do you? When they changed from GFX boot to Grub?
Mm-hmm.
Well, either way, that caused him to have some challenges with his hardware back then. And we decided, with Manjaro specifically, so we decided to branch out a bit, and he installed, of all things, Windows 7 on his machine and remoted into me when I was running Arch at the time. And we decided to build him a Arch respin, which was originally going to be called Arch by MM, but we converted the name into Hackman Linux because I did over half the work on the installer. He just customized the desktop in that. And long story short, we do 2 releases, which were very, very popular. And unfortunately, he had to step away due to some IRL stuff in his life. And hence, I kept it going over the years with some people off and on, aka specifically Ricky and Seeker and some other folks, and we kept it alive up to this day. And I'm still maintaining it. But the name StormOS came around in 2020, 2021, and it's been that name ever since. And to this day, it's had almost 37K downloads since its inception. So
Well, cool.
that's kind of a background on where the distribution came from.
Got it.
But the reason we had to change the name is because of Arch's trademark policy.
Right. Makes sense. So now I understand like the why you did it then. So why do you do it now? What is it? What is the what is it that you enjoy about doing it now?
Well, I love maintaining a distro and just keeping the dream of Arch made easy with XFCE alive. And I've had such success with it that I would hate for the thing to crumble and fall to bits. I mean, it's a passion project, and a hobby that I like to keep going around, So
yeah, no, it makes sense.
I'm very glad that you guys at the Saloon have been such supporters of me and always at least once a year willing to take a look at it. So,
well, it's been a couple of years since the last time.
Well, it's been a long time, yeah. So I know every now and again you guys like to keep up with it and that kind of thing, and I'm glad we keep that going. So, yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
so you had one option for an ISO.
Yes, and
so
we're trying to keep it that way because I don't want too much on my plate, as I've always said. So.
Yeah, I do think because you're largely a one-man show with contributors that our drive-by. Probably best to keep it as simple as possible. And
Yeah.
I think that anyway. So I was talking about the installation process. So I
It's your
installed it.
typical Calamari's installer.
Yeah, I didn't have any problems with it. I thought actually it went pretty well. So I did, it installed no problem. You had an option to just use it live or to go to the install immediately. So I installed it. Installed great. Actually, a rather quick install too, but I think it didn't have a lot of extra stuff in there. I did like how you have when you start out very simple selections for different maybe unique hardware pieces. Now, can you explain to me why you had like Linux 5.15 stuff in there?
That is for certain hardware that might require it, but in the next update we might take that out because honestly, that's been an option that I've had in there for so long that I don't know if it even still works. So I might just sack that and just take it out,
Yeah, I wasn't sure what
because
that was
I
there
don't
for.
even know if that kernel's still even around. So, like I said, I might just take that out and not even have it anymore. So,
Yeah. If it's not around, you probably don't want to have it in there because that might cause somebody to have some.
yeah, that's a valid
troubles.
point. Yeah, actually, what the heck? I'm going to go ahead and just remove that from Calamari's because, I mean, if that kernel's long in the tooth gone, so it's probably like, why have that in there? You do bring up a good point. Yeah.
Now, I did select to have Plasma installed, but it didn't actually.
Oh,
I think it installed, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure that I couldn't boot into. I couldn't select it at the login. So
as a desktop,
I just use your
And
XFCE.
I think that's partly because I was missing some packages or something like that. But to remedy that issue, I took that out and I put that in the welcome app instead. So.
Okay. Well, cool.
And that'll be selectable on the next release after you install the OS. So,
Okay. So did anybody else here get a chance to install it and give it a kick the tires a little bit? Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I mean, installation went fine. Had a couple of small UI problems, but you know what? Ben jumped right in on Discord and we talked about it and we figured out what the issue was and it was fixed. So
Yes.
I got to give him kudos on that. That's pretty neat. It seems to run pretty smooth. I loaded up some apps and even in a VM, it seemed to perform really well. So
Yeah. So I thought the XFCE was fine. Maybe it was an issue with my machine. I don't know. Maybe I didn't have the right resolution going. But the
it defaults to 1920 by 1080 actually.
My dock was skewed to the right. I don't know if that's hard coded the location.
It doesn't show up on mine for that way.
I had that too.
Okay.
Yeah. What was that, Dale?
I had that too. It was.
Oh, you
it
had
was
that
off the
same
right.
problem? Yeah, that's probably just a screen size thing if I had to guess. But, if you're on like a higher resolution monitor or a small resolution monitor, depending upon your computer, that might be something related to that, truthfully. So.
it was easy enough to fix. I mean, you just right clicked on the top bar and went into the properties.
Yeah, I made the panel bigger in the upcoming ISO for mid-March. So hopefully that will carry over into the next update.
Well, Ben, I think it has an option to tell it to span the full width of the screen.
Yeah, I did that in the upcoming release.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I also just went into my Calamari's files and took out the Linux 5.15. So.
But it's funny. Ben and I discovered this together, and it was kind of a eureka moment for me. Have you ever wondered why they don't put the menu in the middle of the screen?
Oh.
You remember that? Hold on. I want them to see if they can figure it out. But what happened was I added Chromium and I right clicked on it to add it to the bar at the bottom. And when I would add it, what was happening, I was at that point where the bar was only halfway across the right side of the screen on the top. So the menu came down in the center. And what was happening was there was a dialogue behind the menu that was popping. And So once I moved the bar all the way over to the left, it was fine. So I guess that's why they don't put menus in the middle of the screen.
Yeah, I think if you did like a span across, that'd probably be helpful. I did actually have and maybe I just don't understand the paradigm a little bit, but I wasn't sure why you had G parted down on the dock. Like I thought, so when I like most of the time when I use a a dock type setup, it's only applications that I've launched or that I've pinned. So I thought, I wasn't sure. I was a little confused by that. It's not a big deal. I mean, it's fine. I could just do other things too. Now, I did like that you could use the application menu to access your applications, or right click and get it from that menu there. That's kind of an IceWM thing, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Exactly.
If I remember right, I think the quick launcher at the bottom, because I guess that's super. I'm used to that because I use Budgie, but normally I think that one is locked. But am I right about that? The bottom launcher is locked.
It does auto hide for certain things, but yeah, the screen size on it is locked. Yes.
No, what I'm talking about is you can lock that panel to where you cannot add things to it.
No. You have to open the application first, then you can pin it to there. If that's what you're asking. You can also take stuff out if you right click it and take something out.
Yeah, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the bottom quick bar by default is locked. So if you try and add something to it, like drag it down there, it's not going to stick. Because you have to unlock that bar to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. Oh, the bar itself is locked. Yes.
Right.
Check that. Yeah. Yeah, the panel at the bottom is locked in position.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. And I did that so that way it doesn't get in people's ways or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. It was easy to figure out. It wasn't a big deal, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
01 says,
yeah,
XFCE, you can easily move things by accident if it isn't locked. So it's probably a good call.
Right.
So I thought, anybody else have any comments on the installation process, what they felt, how it went, and your initial experience with it?
Yeah, I'd like to say that the installer, what you did with Calamaris, I think you did a great job with the installer.
Thanks.
And I really like all the options of installing Google Chrome, Discord, OBS, Steam, Lutris. That part was great. Like Nate, the KDE Plasma part failed, but what you've done with XFCE looks really good.
Thank you.
Nice wallpaper.
That's kind of why it's always stayed the flagship, because I can make it look bling bling like that, you know. I'm really good with my expertise lies in that desktop and not other ones. So that's why when I do my next update with the with all the desktops, those are going to be vanilla, because I don't know what users want with that. So those are just going to come, other than XFCE, those are just going to come vanilla. So yeah.
And the last thing I'd like to say about the StormOS itself is the name. I love the name StormOS.
Thank you.
That is a good name.
Yeah, it's a good name. It's cool.
That's going to be the name until the day I do eventually pass away. So, you know.
Well, don't say that.
Talk about that.
No. I'm saying it's going to be the name for the foreseeable future, I should say.
That's a better way of putting it.
Yeah. It's going to be the name going forward for as long as it can. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm very glad that you guys are impressed with this update, and it's been a lot of work. And one thing I was mistaken about, like Sprungles, aka Nat, said in the chat. She said she's right. She and her dad helped with the Linux 5.15 thing and most of my Calamari settings. So my apologies, Nat. I forgot you guys helped with that. Thanks. And she's right. Her dad needs the Linux 5.15 kernel, so that's why that was in there.
Well, as long as it still
Good
works.
job.
Yeah.
So I wanted to say,
How
go ahead, hit that.
does XFCE Wayland work with that? Does it work pretty good now?
I have not looked at that yet.
I didn't. I just saw it was an option. I didn't actually try it. Maybe I should have.
What was that?
So it was an option, like because when I tried to like go into the Plasma.
Yeah, it's an
session,
option in LightDM.
Yeah. So, but I didn't actually try it. I probably should have,
Didn't
but
get
I
a
didn't.
chance to look at it. Yeah. That's all right. Well,
so I want to say updates. Had zero problems with that. There was no problem at all.
Cool.
And it worked. Rebooted, no problems. There was no. I mean, it actually happened very quickly. I did know. I did notice wasn't really a way to get Flatpak installed easily. I mean, I'm sure I could very very easily put like a Flatpak store or whatever, install that. Like Bazaar, whatever we talked about before.
In PAMAC, there is in PAMAC there is a toggle, I believe, for there is in this version for this version of PAMAC for snaps and Flatpak to actually be selectable. Actually,
okay.
It's just they're not on by default. I tried to make them on by default, but it just did not carry over to the ISO for whatever reason. So.
Okay.
People will have to select that by themselves if they want that.
Might be a good like an option to have like in the installer. Do you want just say I'll just call it Flatpak Universal Applications, whatever.
Yeah.
Because I find just for me.
Well, actually, Flatpak and snaps are part of the install when I build the ISO actually, because PAMAC has a dependency on that actually.
Okay. Well, maybe I just missed it, but I didn't find
it. If you pull it up again at any point, if you go into PAMAC and then under repositories, it's in there. It's just not ticked by default. So, yeah, you have to go into preferences and then advanced. It's under third party. Excuse me. And then you have to tick on enable AUR if you want it, and then enable Flatpak and then enable Snap as well. So that's where those settings are. I forgot to mention that. So yeah, I don't personally use those things, so that's another reason why they were not ticked on. But the AUR I do use. It's just I don't tick those on for obvious reasons.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it would be nice, like out of the gate, if there's some checkout. Check out like applications or whatever, install these, store of applications, even like a link on the desktop would be kind of nice. I'm just saying, maybe that's not the right audience.
You mean like pin certain things to the desktop?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Or maybe just a way to guide people to like Flatpak, because at this point, I mean, I don't know how it is for most people. I know some people they just don't like Flatpak or snaps. I don't know if that's this audience here.
Yeah.
But but having that ability to have access to having access to the bigger ecosystem of applications, all that stuff that's containerized and everything else too, so that you can easily install and remove it without causing other issues. So, but I do have a question here from the chat. That it's from 01.
Yes.
He says, how are you dealing with the frequent breakages in PAMAC?
Well, that's actually a good question. We actually are pulling in the package directly from Arch. We're not self-compiling it. So we update it whenever there is a new update from the AUR itself. And it is a Manjaro app. So when Manjaro sends up a new build to the AUR, we pull it right down from upstream and then upload it to our own repo on GitHub. That's how we handle that. So that's how I'm dealing with that. So.
I'm curious, why not just link to Manjaro directly instead of wasting extra bandwidth?
That is well. The only problem with that,
are you doing any extra QA or packaging or anything, or are you just literally grabbing their binary and storing it locally?
We're just grabbing it from the AUR, essentially.
Okay.
So that's how we're pulling it in. And then
I'm just a bit confused
I have thought about maybe using the chaotic AUR. Oh, hold on. I have thought about maybe incorporating the chaotic AUR so that way I don't have to worry about something like Yay or something like that, so I don't have to pull in those extra things manually, But I just haven't gone in and decided to do that and clean out my repo and just have like Calamari stuff in there only. But that's probably something I'm going to do in a future release at some point.
So
my main question is a matter of trust, right? Like, how do people if people largely trust what's coming out of Manjaro or coming out of the chaotic AUR, but then it's coming out of yours, the users then have to implicitly trust that you are keeping up with those packages and that you are checking the security logs, you are checking the SBOM. So it's probably a better move just to pull from elsewhere and not even
pull it from Manjaro themselves. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I see why you would suggest that. Yeah, because I think the Manjaro package is more updated more frequently, isn't it?
Updating frequency is not the point. It's about the fact that your users will have to trust that you have done your homework and you have done the work to ensure that the package that you are saying is coming from you.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Is correct.
So it's a matter more of trust than anything else. I get you. Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's why I'm contemplating.
And, if it's like a one-man distro, no way in hell am I gonna grab some random binary from the AUR off a one-man distro.
Yeah.
And most people probably.
That's why I'm probably gonna go directly from Manjaro in the future instead of pulling it down manually. Yeah. That's probably gonna be a smarter move. Either way, is there anything else you guys want to ask about this?
I did want to say just some highlights. I liked how you had an easy way of installing Steam, Heroic, Lutris, and and so forth, right from the StormOS utility. That was a good move because, I don't know what your target audience is necessarily looking for, but I'm a simple man for the most part, and so that was nice to have those things just right there. I didn't actually test out Heroic or Lutris, so I don't know if it pulled everything in as necessary, but it's a nice overture.
There are several questions over in the YouTube channel that you could probably
yeah. Dolphin said the dark theme makes the radio buttons extremely hard to see. Yeah, I might recolor the calamaris in the next update. So yeah.
And then 01 had a comment further about Garuda. Saying he's asking about the PAMIC because Garuda had replaced it a long time ago, but old users still had it until recently, so it caused some dependency issues too. So maybe look at see what Garuda's doing, because I think Garuda's got a good thing going as well. And also he goes on to say, wouldn't the Manjaro package be in sync with Manjaro dependencies though? I don't know, because they hold things back.
That is one concern as to why I pulled it in from the AUR, because with the AUR package, it's more in sync with the Arch packages. So, and I think it might be modified for Arch. I'm not sure about that, but it's more in line with, like I said, it's more in line with the Arch structure. So that's why I pulled it in that way.
Okay.
Versus having to deal with the Manjaro challenges in that. So
aside from what Run with the Dolphin said, I do think you have a nice dark theme going, but yeah, the radio buttons are a little bit hard to see. I did have to click them a couple times to get it, to make sure is that selected or not selected. But yeah, I think if you can like fix those radio buttons, maybe make it instead of a darker, you went to like a change of gray, maybe have it like go blue or, bright orange. I don't know, whatever. Something just to indicate that this one's selected.
Yeah.
And
also the restrictions on password length and dictionary words. Oh yeah. Yeah. I kind of forgot that little gumption there. Yeah. I'll be sure to check out the Calamari settings before I push out the next ISO.
Yeah, they beat me to it. I like a simple password. I have one simple password I do all of my virtual installs with, and it won't let me do it. Or at least see if there's a button where the user can select, yeah, I know it's a weak password, but let me use it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, the weak password thing was a gripe. Yeah, the strong password thing has been a gripe for a long time. I'll probably look at that module in specific and see what I can do about that next update. So I'll be sure to look at that. So.
I mean, obviously, it's a lot of work, especially to maintain an Arch distribution. So
a one-man distro. Yeah,
right.
For sure.
So it's a lot of work.
But it's okay. I mean,
I do have a question
one of those
about
things
that,
where
that one-man distro thing, real quick. I noticed some folks in the chat were talking about like you had pulled some code from their distro, and
that was
I heard you acknowledge that.
It was Accretion OS. Yeah, they helped out with the Calamari settings some time ago, and they did a lot of extra help to pull that in.
So not a one-man distro.
Yeah, they helped out with some stuff. Yeah. But they haven't helped out in a little while, so it's mostly been me manufacturing the rest of it ever since. Anywho, so yeah. Either way, yeah. In the next update, hopefully those things will be fixed. So. Yeah, Sprungles is right. We used to work on a lot of stuff together. It's just been not as a frequent thing as it used to be.
Still think they deserve credit, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of how frequently or recent they've done things.
Yeah. It totally slipped my mind a little bit ago when she brought that up. So. But either way, yeah. Thanks to Natalie and to her dad for the help that they gave to the Calamaris and the distro overall. Kudos to you guys for that.
Cool. So another thing, you talk about like maybe doing other desktop environments, but
yeah,
I would if I were you, and I'm not, who am I? I don't maintain any distributions, but I would probably just concentrate, like just making
on the XFCE.
Yeah, probably just concentrate on that, and leave the the Plasma
extra
installs to basically to people who use Plasma.
Who want to use it?
Let's say a one-man show with drive-by contributors. Then it probably would be best for your sanity and like the quality of the overall product, distribution, to have something like a very cohesive, focus. And if somebody wants to add Plasma on their own later, that can be, because Arch has all that tooling underneath it. They can figure out how to do that. I probably wouldn't worry too much about that as far as doing that. So, but yeah, I just think just for your own sanity and just make it so you don't spread yourself too thin. Because we've talked about this before, how you've done like a Gen 2 version, and you're working on a Linux
and all
from
those
scratch version.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not my area of focus anymore. Yeah, I'm sticking to the one thing, and that's all I'm going to do going forward, because, there's a lot of pressure that goes under being a one-man band for most of this stuff, and it's not an easy thing at all, especially because of the fact I have also my Star Wars server project and things like that I still actively update in that with my buddy Trev and all that stuff. So, it's kind of a very difficult and pain in the butt thing to, have to.
So why
Go
not
ahead.
pull in one of the great parts of open source and get contributors, get people involved, get people helping?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do now is, rebuild the team,
Just make
get
sure they
it
get
back
credit.
going again and that kind of stuff. Because here's what the hardest part about it is again, being a one-man band, distro, it's a real pain in the butt, and it's not a very sustainable thing having to be a one-man developer 95% of the time. It's just hard. So, and there's Shaston. Welcome in.
So yeah. Anyway, I just think that just try and I would say do your best to try and keep the mission focused, and try to make so there's been a few little bits and pieces here of like some advice or whatnot. Probably focus on those and like really trying to polish it. I probably would just go ahead and since you're not a KDE user, that's not where you live, you're probably not going to be able to create the best KDE experience. I should say Plasma experience. Why do I keep calling it KDE? It hasn't been called that for over a decade. Anyway, probably focus on, because you should always eat your own dog food. So focus on the most opinionated Ben distro for yourself that works well with XFCE. And if somebody wants to be a part of that, collaborate with them and make it work better for the team. But if you don't have someone who's really into GNOME or Plasma or whatever other desktop environment, I would probably just focus it on what it is you like and how you would like to present your distribution to be the nicest, the most pristine, polished XFCE StormOS experience you could ever create. That would be my advice to you, so that you don't get spread too thin. So probably not focus on a Gen 2 at all. Like probably just keep that out. Don't do any of these other little things unless you really want to. But then keep in mind that if you anytime you don't put toward making StormOS as it is as an XFCE the best user experience possible, then it's probably going to fall.
Well, I should say the only reason I put in the extra desktops was the only reason they're there is they're in the welcome app. They're not directly tied to the thing itself that way.
And 01 says, why do people call it dog food? Just eat your own human food, LOL. Okay, that works too.
Well, I just noticed something in the user's question config. I had a password checks line in there. I'm taking that out just to see if that solves the password checks.
Yep, that's a good call. And then, then also Run of the Dolphin does say, FYI, the Wayland session doesn't work, which isn't surprising. I don't know why the session files are packaged with XFCE. It's an upstream thing. Yeah, probably because it's testing there. Oh, I didn't even try it, so I probably should have.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and Nat says if you want another desktop, then just add it to Calamari's. Yeah, Nat, I might need your help on that later on sometime if you don't mind, because I tried that with Plasma, like we said in the beginning of the show. That did not work too well. So if you wouldn't mind getting with me sometime later and working that out, that would be great.
All right.
So also very funny. So the common coder says Drink your own champagne sounds much more pleasant. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
I would say that definitely sounds a little bit more
Yeah.
appealing.
I
Because dog food doesn't.
I like dog food. I mean, is it? Anyway, whatever. But call it whatever you want. Eat your own slurry. Goulash. Can I use goulash? Is goulash okay?
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Drink your own champagne.
Yeah.
I kind of like that. Yeah, sure.
Sweet. Anyway, yeah, a lot of people in the chat. Thanks for being here. So, any other comments from the gallery here? I don't want to say peanut gallery because maybe someone's allergic to peanuts, and then I'm offending somebody there too. 01 says goulash is great.
Yeah. So I did take a look at it a couple of hours ago. The only thing that I thought was there's a couple of things that were annoying. Main things that were annoying was the password thing, because it didn't give me like the ability to use like my super complicated 1-2 password or something. You know, like what I do when I try distros. That's annoying.
Yeah.
They made me like do like this really complicated password, and when I'm just trying out a distro, I don't like to do that. So I thought that was very annoying. And then also it pushed me right into the operating system. Like I didn't need to put in my password. That's kind of annoying, personally. What else was there?
I did forget about that. When you log in, you don't actually punch in your password at all. It just logs you right in. But if you lock your computer, then you have to punch in your password. I thought it was a little bit weird.
Oh, I didn't realize that. So yeah, that would be really weird. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, that's pretty much the only thing that I noticed. Oh, and when you go to do like the system update from the menu, it spawns the terminal, but it doesn't actually like it doesn't like do the it doesn't execute pacman SYU or whatever to update your system. It just gives you the terminal. That was but other than that, I saw some other optimizations that I think that I looked at them. If they work, it's a pretty good project. I think it's pretty good all in all, but those couple of things kind of annoyed me.
Yeah. I switched back to the GTK greeter to try and deal with the password thing because that's something that I think Mike reported on too. Because I don't know if that was corrected with the GTK greeter, but that was just a brief fix that I did to try and work around that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still doing it. I loaded a new copy today, and it's still doing that.
Oh, it's still doing it? Okay, yeah, that's something I am going to have to look at too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, actually, I think it's better than Manjaro, so, I mean, just...
You think mine's better than Manjaro? That's classic.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you think that because Manjaro has been on sort of a downhill spiral recently.
So I hear.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, I'm not that surprised with their track record recently.
Yeah.
Yeah. But either way, yeah, I'll always firmly believe that StormOS has a much better, brighter future than they do.
All right. Well, that's good.
Just remember not to poo-poo on anybody else's distribution because
no, that's not my goal. I'm not gonna crap on Manjaro. Heavens no.
I'll do that. I'll be glad.
Yeah, I'll let Shasta take the blame for that one.
No, we don't want to poo-poo on anybody's distributions. I mean, I don't care if
we don't want to do that on any person's project.
Okay.
Yeah, it's true. It's kind of a thing. We want to make sure we're I much prefer to be able to uplift and edify. I don't want to I don't want to do anything to like make
I
any digs
agree with
anybody.
I agree with what Nate said, Ben, about really thinking about and focusing on one particular desktop. I think that would really make things a lot smoother for you more than anyone else. But the other thing, I was the one that wrote that kind of long review, and I would also think about who your audience is. Who do you want your audience to be? And I mean, your distribution is shaping up to be just a great one if you keep going in the direction you're going. And there's no reason why it could be someone's second or third distro.
Right. Well, I should say the original goal of it is to be for those who are on Mac OS or on Windows and looking for an alternative to that, and they don't want to go down the rabbit holes of Ubuntu or something like that, and they want an alternative to that. And it's primarily designed at novices and people who don't know what the F they're doing with Linux, essentially.
Yeah. So again, that's why I would again probably really emphasize, really focusing it down to the what it is that you use and what's important to you, and then don't worry about what other people want necessarily, because one of the, let's call it benefits, or one of the things about open source is it actually encourages selfishness in many ways. You work on something that works specifically for you, and then you share it, which I guess that's a counter to selfishness.
Yeah.
But you work on something that works well for you, and then people will follow it if they, it's the like the marketplace of good technology ideas, and the more good ideas you can, you create, the more momentum you have behind whatever it is you're doing. Different distributions.
Well, I am going to
rebrand
the wallpaper to reflect the use case to be, beginner to intermediate instead. Actually.
Well, I mean, however you want to do that, that's fine. I don't know if that's even your target, because I think maybe your idea of beginner is different than my idea of beginner, because I would never give any beginner Arch ever.
No. That's why it says intermediate to advanced, because that's more of the target for Arch.
Right. What I'm just saying.
Because
I think you meant like a beginner maybe to Arch Linux.
Sure.
Maybe not necessarily.
Yeah. I mean, it would be like the first distro of Arch for someone.
Yeah. I'll say a beginner to Arch, a beginner to Arch's dream. Yeah.
Sure. However you want to do that, but just keep it nice and.
I'll look into it.
Tightly focused, as much as possible.
Yeah. I'll look at rebranding the wallpaper later on.
Well, it's what really it's whatever on that. I mean, it's not a huge.
It's more of a cosmetic thing.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, any other thoughts, comments about?
I would do like a lot of other ISOs. I would do a checksum on the ISO itself to make sure you don't download a corrupted ISO.
That's probably a good point, Eris, because we just haven't found a way to put that in the builder yet, but I'll look into that.
Might be a manual thing we'll have to do.
I would also do something with the left side of the panel. It seems kind of like just empty there. I don't know. You could do something with that.
Oh yeah, you mean where the clock is and all that?
No, to the left of that, because the clock's in the middle, right? It's kind of like a gnome.
Oh yeah, you mean like? You mean next to the whisker menu?
Yeah, like on all the left side, the blank left side, pretty much.
Oh yeah, you mean like next to the next to the whisker menu and the clock?
Yeah, it's just blank on the top.
Oh,
Yeah.
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 Well,
Yeah.
yeah, that
Yeah.
we cleaned that up a little bit, but yeah, I'll figure out some stuff to put in there.
You just stretch it across, and then that'd be perfect.
Yeah. Well,
Is
I
it-
did resize the bar at the top. It's when you re-downloaded it earlier, Mike, was that resized or no?
Yeah, it was resized all the way across the top. Yeah.
Okay, good. Then yeah, that was my solution to that, was to resize the bar across the top. Yeah.
I don't know
So that
why I
should-
was getting 3 IPs with my StormOS. Well, is that normal, or did I get like a messed up ISO?
What do you mean 3 IPs?
If I did like IP space A, I would get 3 IPs.
Oh, that's the loopback, the local host, the Ethernet, and the Wi-Fi, I think.
Yeah,
So,
but
yeah,
why was I getting
that's-
3 separated? They're 3 different IPs.
You usually
I
get
don't know
3
why that
separate
is.
IPs. I always get 3 separate IPs for those.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah,
normal.
he does make a true
I-
point.
Don't get that normally, but I saw it's really interesting. I only had 2 IPs, the loopback and then the Ethernet, but then I had like 4 different IPv6 addresses.
Oh,
Yeah, I was getting the not the loopback IP, but the like your home IP,
Yeah.
whatever that is, and then I was getting 4 of them or 3 of them.
oh
Those
wow.
are
Yeah.
the channels for the telemetry he's sucking out of your machine.
Yes, that's it.
Hmm.
So Ben,
Interesting.
I'll put in the chat in the Linux Saloon live chat.
Yeah.
This is how my StormOS looks. And so if you look at
Okay.
the top, the bar, it just kind of stops 2/3 of the way, going from the right to the left.
Yeah. That's because you're running the old ISO, Nate. The new one, it's expanded all the way out.
I mean, I only just downloaded this like Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah, look at
Oh
my
yeah, that was before I fixed it. Yeah.
look
Okay.
at my stream and you can see it. So this is how the
Look
new
at his screen and you'll see it.
Oh yeah, that's much better. Yeah.
Yeah. I already went ahead and took care of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there like an update that I can pull instead of re-downloading it?
I'm actually contemplating I'm actually probably going to put the desktop configs into a package build. So that way, people have an easier time of pulling in the configs and just getting them through an update.
Nate, you muted.
Of course I am, because I looked at it and I didn't pay attention to the little thingy here. I just wanted to, anybody have any like last words they want to say about it before we kind of close things out and go to housekeeping?
Yeah.
I'm just going to chime in here just for a bit,
Sure.
but not because I have anything useful to say.
You
Because
always
I don't,
have
because I
something
haven't
useful to
actually tried to destroy it. No. It's only because I felt like I was being stalked in chat earlier, so I just
Yes.
felt I had to chime in. But I
Okay.
always let it be known that I always am here to serve. That is all.
Well, I always like it when
What
your
was that,
voice
Vince?
chimes in, just in general.
I didn't quite catch that.
I'm
Vince.
cracking up here.
I'm just waiting
cracking
for
up.
the soundboard.
Oh, you were the one messing with the soundboard. Okay. I was going to say.
So, Run with the Dolphin has something I'm going to throw out here as well, because he did write this. He says, I think focusing on making sure every menu item works and that every defined keyboard shortcut works is a good place to start, particularly the terminal shortcut. So maybe I think really polishing out all your different little features, that's probably going to be, that should be at the top of your list.
Yeah, I definitely. I noticed I also noticed that the exit within the terminal was having some struggles. So what I'm probably going to do in the next build is I'm going to swap back to the XFCE standard terminal, because as nice as the new terminal is, it's being a little fidgety, if you want my drift.
So there was a question from YouTube from Sean, and it says, "What's your plans for addressing the age verification coming up with StormOS?"
Uh,
I think Sean might be trolling. I don't know. I mean, because Sean would do that in a fun way. But I don't think that projects like this are going to be subject to age verification.
Yeah, it's more corporate for like Red Hat, SUSE, Ubuntu. Any corporate backed OS is probably the ones that are going to be hit.
yeah.
And I can guarantee that no government's going to try and come after Ben for any amount of money, because it wouldn't be worth the costs for them to just do that to somebody. Actually, I can't guarantee that, because
I've already reported him to ICE.
He's just curious about how we're going to do that. Oh, Lord. We're not going to add it into the distro per se. It's my buddy Matt, who's my web designer. He actually put in a redirect in there to handle that, so, on the website. So.
it would also probably be helpful if you actually got like StormOS or something like that as a URL, like register or something like that.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Well, he's hosting it through his Wix account, actually.
I'm just saying it'd be good, like at least use like a redirect or something like that. Might be helpful.
Yeah. I gotcha.
Can you change your project name from Hackman to StormOS?
On
would you have to create a new
SourceForge, I
project?
tried to do that. Yeah, I tried to do that. I don't know if it would let me. Because I tried to do that, it didn't let me do it. But I'm still going to try and look into that. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much,
I'm
Ben.
going to keep
I think
any longer,
we'll go
Nate,
ahead
because I
and
know you got to go in like 3 minutes,
wrap
don't you?
this up. Yeah, I do. So, we got some quick housekeeping. Next week there will not be a Linux Saloon. I will be out of town at a robotics competition north of here, quite north, very north. And but the week after that, so April 4th, there will be a news flight night. So no Linux Saloon next week. So sorry about no early edition this month. We're going to try for certainly we'll have one in April. I have to hammer that one down. Try and get some dates. So I'll probably put a poll or something like that up. And then also, if you have any suggestions, so distribution suggestions, discussion ideas, application appetizer, maybe we do a poll on that as well. Anything you have, poll ideas, feel free to send them to suggestions@linuxsaloon.com or cubicalink.com, whichever. Or pin them in the or tag Eris myself in the Discord or in the Telegram. That would be great. I'll make sure to throw up these show notes here after the fact when this is all done. It might be a little bit late though because of some logistic things that are coming up. Okay, so I guess that makes it time for last call. In just a second here, because I didn't write something down like a numpty. Okay. Last call, because we're gonna wrap it up here. Sorry, it's gonna be a short show today. So with that, Eric, anything exciting going on in your world that you'd like to share with the world?
You said last call, and I was like, I was loosely paying attention for some of it. I'm like, was it really been 2 hours?
No, I gotta cut it short, hour and a half.
No, it's okay. I get it. I just
I'm even wearing my
for a second I thought it had been so. Yeah. Anyway, no, nothing really. Just still recording podcasts and did a couple more today. And,
Sweet.
Linux OTC and then Mintcast. So there you go. Yeah, about it.
Good
Thank you.
times. Fantastic. What about you, Dale? Anything? Any exciting news for us? I know you said you may or may not be here. So you showed up, really happy about that.
Yeah. Since you're skipping next Saturday, my surgery is happening the Monday after next Saturday.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know how long I'll be out. If I'm able, I'll show up Saturday, but I might just be sitting here going.
I got you. You can do sign language. I can't interpret sign language, but we can pretend.
I'll have to pretend to.
Or I got an idea. You get a notebook and you write on the notebook and you put it to the camera. That would be fun.
I can practice my writing backwards skills.
Yes. Yes.
Get a Wacom and bid cap it.
So, well, thanks for being here. Really appreciate it.
Other than that, I'm just still working 70 hours a week, and everybody at work's getting grumpy and sleep deprived and ready for it to slow down a little bit.
I understand. It's gonna get that way here for me shortly with some things. So, well, good deal. Well, thanks again for being here. Super appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Hip Dad, I see you've been very busy this entire show. You didn't pause your game to be here, but that's okay. How you doing on your game?
Well, I'm doing okay. I mean, I just restarted after 3 years dormancy. I've been playing it off and on since beta, but I quit for about 3 years, and then I decided, let's give it a try because of the new expansion. But I can't afford the expansion, but I am worked up to the expansion, so I can go right into it when I do purchase it.
So are you in the center between two different dinosaurs there? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, these are my my pets that I used to hunt with. Let me try to back out here. Here we go.
Are those like raptors or something?
Yeah, they're raptors, but they got armor, stone armor all over them.
No. Well, they are obviously very camera shy.
Yeah. Yeah, they're from the Zandalari tribes, the trolls. Kind of appropriate, I guess.
Well, they look neat. I like dinosaurs, so I'm a huge fan of Charizard. Just for whatever reason, I'm a middle-aged man that likes Pokemon. I don't know how to exactly slice that one up, but here we are.
A lot of people love Pokemon. Pokemon's probably more popular than it was in the beginning.
Yeah, probably.
Lately, because of all the new apps and stuff. I never did get into it, but
you do have a question from the chat about your dinosaurs there.
Uh-huh.
The one and only Sean says, "Are they named Spot and Skippy?"
No, it's actually. They asked me too fast. One is named Earl. The other one is Not the Mama.
Oh, very nice. Yep. Okay, that's a great dinosaurs reference from the 90s. Well done.
Yep.
Well done. So is that are you okay with that, Sean? Was that an acceptable answer? But we'll find out. All right. Shaston or Linux Dev Labs.
Yes, sir. Sorry. Yes, sir.
Nice for you to drop by.
Yeah, thank you. All
Good to see
right.
you.
I don't have that much on my horizon right now. I've been screwing off most of this last week, but I'll probably have a few things coming around this next week.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, glad you stopped by. Be a part of the conversation. It's always good times.
Yeah.
And Robin, how you doing?
I'm making a fan shroud for my little Lenovo AI node I'm working on.
Oh, very nice. I just jumped in on your stream. Looks fancy. Are you doing surfacing for that?
Yeah, I'm in Blender, and I'm it's going to be two 40mm fans.
Okay.
And I'm trying to blend it into one air inlet to attach to a Lenovo M720Q. And I've got some electronics here that I'm going to use to try and turn the fans on automatically with a little thermal switch.
That looks like a fun project.
It is fun. I've been working on it for a couple of weeks, and I'll show you guys the progress in the Discord and maybe on here in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, fantastic. That actually sounds like a good opportunity for a community free pour, so maybe we can feature you on a project, if that's all right. It's up to you. No pressure.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
But a little bit of pressure, but not too much, just a little bit.
I like that. I thrive off that.
Okay, good. Well, thanks again for being here.
Yeah, no, I enjoy it. I stay up late to join in the chat.
And I love you for it. Thank you so much. Eris.
Hello.
Thanks for all the straw polls.
Thank you.
Yeah, Goofball is here today. So thanks for being here, Goofball. I hope you had a good time.
Sir, can you guys hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine. Yep. Fantastically well.
Excellent. Yep. Nope. Enjoying the show. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Now you're almost as rowdy as Jinda, I noticed. So Jinda, thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me, Nate. It was fun.
Yeah. Oh, it usually is. Sometimes it's not, maybe. I don't know.
No, it's always fun. We always have a great time.
Good. Fantastic. And Mike, I'm jumping around a little bit. Mike, thanks for being here.
Yes.
Thanks
You're
for help
welcome.
during the week. We didn't get to talk about the application like I said I was going to, but things kind of went a little sideways on me. So we'll get to it.
Yeah. Well, let me just say two quick things. First, I released Marklight 0.5.0 this week.
Okay.
And actually included some changes mentioned from the demo. So that's cool. And secondly, I have been trying my best to keep Jinda under control during this show, and it has been a train wreck.
It has. It failed miserably, but at least you failed
miserably
fast.
as usual.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, what were some of the do a quick gloss over maybe a couple of the feature changes?
Yeah, someone mentioned having a tooltip on the view edit button. I added that.
Okay.
I looked into adding a spell checker, but man, it's just going to add a lot of size to the program. And really I may do like a spell check on demand thing, something.
Oh, okay.
And the other thing, I've been doing some testing, compiling it on Windows, to get a Windows version out. And I ran into a little problem with the exit function and the way different OSs handle that. So I had to recode that to allow for Windows. But yeah, it's coming along good. Hopefully we'll have a Windows version out in the next week or two. So.
Yeah, I was saying, I think last week that'd be, I know some people who would probably very happily use this at work. So maybe we'll see. But I'll definitely tell them about it and show them how neat it is and why they should try it.
Anyway, thank you for letting me give the demo, because it pushed my numbers up probably another 300 or 400 downloads.
Nice. Wow. Yeah. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you.
Didn't realize this show had such a reach. Had such, what was that, such high. There's some marketing wankery for that. I don't know what it is though.
They come here to see Jinda. That's really what it's about.
Yeah, something like that. Jinda, yeah, for sure. That's why I come here.
Me too.
Me too.
All right, just a couple of. I know there's some people that were in the chat here that do have their own things going to, like Steve's very own. You can check out his live streams. He does them throughout the week, but for sure, usually on Sunday mornings as well at 8:30 a.m. Central. We saw, let's see, Dave's Vintage Apple Tech. He does a stream also tomorrow, I think from It's like he starts like I think 11 a.m. Eastern, but it's actually he's in Pacific time, so it's like 8 Pacific, 9 Pacific. I don't know when he starts, but 11. I think 11 is when I usually see it pop in. Sometimes I join that too. Shaston here, he's got his own YouTube, Linux Dev Labs. You can check that out on YouTube as well. And of course, Mike Chilson, he's got a BBS, Marklight, and Resize All apps, and some other things coming soon. But I guess we have to wait on that one. And I'm also on a podcast called Linux Out Loud. We didn't get to record this week because of issues. Maybe next week. And then also you can visit cubicon8.com for my blatherings. I did a recent article on Container, which is much like Box Buddy, but built on Qt instead of GTK. And it has some things that has some features that the Box Buddy doesn't have, and Box Buddy has some features that it doesn't have. So it kind of go into a little bit of a comparison. Not really. I'm just kind of focusing on Container itself, but it's a flat pack as well, so you can check that out if you like. Cubicon8.com. Also, there'll be the show notes will eventually be done and on cubicon8.com as well tonight. So as soon as I get some time. Also, hey, check out Linux User Space. It's a great podcast. They had some very interesting segment about Firefox and some of the error, like the crash reports that are set up. But it was an interesting thing about bad memory and causing a lot of 10% of the crashes, I think, for Firefox. So and also there's some tools out there apparently to mark bad memory too, or like some kernel tools. I don't know how those work, but they talk about that. So check that out, linuxuserspace.show. So great episode. Also, thank you all for your support, however you do it, being a part of this conversation in both the Discord, face-to-face here, or voice chat, however you call it, and also being on the YouTube stream as well. As well as everyone for watching the show after the fact. Thank you so much. I also want to thank everyone involved in making Linux open source tools possible for us to not only have this conversation, but also to have fun and enjoy our technology. Linux truly puts personal back in a personal computer. Thank you for stopping by. Be sure to tip your developers, and please remember to Linux responsibly. Until next time, see yous.